The United Nations, with unanimous Indo-Pacific support, appointed India as the non-permanent member to the UN Security Council for the 8th time in 2021. This is an honor, no doubt. However, why was India, the second most populous country with increasingly bright economic prospects, not on the permanent UNSC table? Why has a select group denied and is continuing to deny India her fair share of representation? The course that followed India's appointment has been even more significant. India, adhering to her pro-people, pro-world stance, highlighted and pursued issues that previous UNSC compositions had largely remained insensitive to. From a standalone comprehensive discussion on maritime security, to a resolution on war-torn Taliban-ruled Afghanistan, to food security and human rights of all those who have been rendered dispossessed in Syria and Yemen, India has ensured that the world discussed and deliberated on what matters the most.
India was, as always, world's pharmacist. I have found that India reached not only to the neighborhood, but also as far as Latin America and the Caribbean and the Pacific.
From assisting the most deprived African countries during the COVID crisis, to providing both money and material to economically collapsing Afghanistan, India has always set aside politics for people. It is critical to note that India has engaged in these acts despite being aware of the fact that she will not be reciprocated favorably in some cases. Sri Lanka, which has been affected by its worst economic crisis in 7 decades, was supported with over $3.8 billion USD of packages, including credit lines, deferred import payments, and currency swaps between the period of January of 2022 and July of 2022 alone. India came to Sri Lanka's rescue when it was going through its worst economic phase ever. India also recently set aside $24.5 million USD for war-torn Afghanistan. As per the government statement provided in Lok Sabha, the lower house of Indian Parliament, as many as 37 lines of credit worth $14.27 billion USD have been provided to 5 of India's neighboring nations. More and more countries prefer reaching out to India for economic assistance, as Indian help doesn't come with any strings attached, unlike Chinese assistance. India's economic rise, coupled with her deft, people-friendly diplomacy, have made one clear statement. India is not only extremely powerful, but also increasingly trusted by all.
The progress of India in these last years has been remarkable and extraordinary, and I think the position of India now, this is again my view as an outsider, is potentially more powerful than it's ever been.
At a time when she attained the momentum needed for her rapid industrialization, India also agreed to net zero, a global campaign for minimizing carbon emissions until zero for the greater interests of the global good. Many of the world's greatest economies industrialize with no such commitment to environmental protection goals. India's commitment comes at a time when many global bodies and alliances are increasingly being questioned for their trustworthiness and transparency. India's insistence on purchasing Russian oil, despite much international pressure for sanctions, needs to be looked at more broadly, as India's decision was based on protecting the economic well-being of 1/6 of the global population. Indian trade, economics, and investment policies have been hailed across the world for their transparent transactions. India has consistently floated the idea of reformed multilateralism and has also continually urged the world to be respectful to the territorial sovereignty of all. While China and the United States have been accused by many countries for predatory, expansionist, and intrusive foreign policy, Indian foreign policy has been pro-people and pro-dialogue. Indian actions have reinforced her position of working for peace and people, not for divisions and war. From International Solar Alliance in line with global endeavors to counter climate change, to Yoga Day, a campaign to promote a healthy lifestyle, Indian propositions have direct, concrete benefits for humanity. When countries world over have been engaged in conspiring with and against each other, Brand India has lived up to its vision of the 5 S's: Saman, respect; Samvad, dialogue; Shanti, peace; Sayog, cooperation; and Samriddhi, prosperity. India has practiced and continues to practice and promote these 5 ideals, for she preaches and practices Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family.